Hey everyone, Twisted here. So I got a question from IS, and let's go ahead and pull that up, shall we? So the question is, hey Twisted, curious question. I know how to use a variety of colors, etc. But what's the easiest way to blend a model into a background? I'm trying to find a way to stop making it look like a photo. Any suggestions you could give would be greatly appreciated. All right, so I guess really all I can say, or I'm obviously I'm stuttering over my words, but really all I can do is just tell you that how I do it is I don't cut the model out of the background. See, here we have the model in the background, and people want to cut this out and put this on top of the background, where I take the background and I lower the opacity down, and then I put in my mask. And I work with low opacity on my brush, so anywhere between the 40s and the 30s is really where I would end up going. Oh, and that's my eraser tool, but we do that with my eraser too. So right now I have it about at 37. So we'll go about 40 and just start clicking away. And yes, it's going to take more brush strokes when you're at a lower opacity, but however, when you get around the edges, you don't have to worry about it as much as if you are at a high opacity brush. So basically, being at a lower opacity, you're not going to take away most of that mask. And I mean, you can get around that by using like a gray paint and not black. But even then, you have to find the perfect ratio of gray to white to do what lowering the opacity on your brush would do. So just start like clicking around the edges. And once you're, satisfied with your edges, you can go up to a higher opacity when you're in the middle of the model. But it's all about taking your time and finding the placement of where you want your brush strokes to be. It, like anything else, it takes practice. And excuse me. However, this I found to be better than cutting the model out of the background and putting the model on top of the background. So yes, it takes more time. Yes, you do end up having to do a lot more brush strokes than if you had a high opacity brush. However, it's more of you're going to end up getting outside of the umbrella here, outside of the model here, and that's when you would have to go back up and clean it up. And really, the less you have to do with that, the better off you are. But for now, for this tutorial, because I also do a couple of different things, besides cutting the background on top of the model, I do a few other things to help blend and make the model match the background I'm placing her on. So for now, we're going to go up to a high opacity brush, only because I want to take out as much of this as I can, just so I can show you. So for example purposes, we're not going to really worry about lines as much. We're going to more worry about blending. Now, we all know from like my previous videos that I end up using NYX filters. However, because NYX filters is a paid for filtering, and not a lot of people want to buy filters just so that way they can use it, I'm going to show you how to use adjustment layers, which I should have been doing beforehand because it's really not fair to those people who don't have NYX filters. So here we go, my crappy, what, I should probably up the opacity, not lower the opacity, but my crappy cut job, which is fine, whatever. We're going to go to our hue and saturation adjustment layer. And we're going to desaturate it just a little bit. So probably about 30. We're going to hit it with colorize, and we're going to give it like a yellowish hue to it. But what we're going to do, instead of keeping that, we're going to lower the opacity of that adjustment layer, just to where we are going to start bringing her color back in. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're starting to match tones here. We want it to look almost like the lighting was meant for this background, not for the original background she was on. Now you can also go ahead and throw in a gradient overlay. Now the secret to these is that with gradients, and this is what I tell people when they want to start using gradients, look for something that's flush. And I'm going to show you an example here. You want to stay away from gradients that look like this, where there's this harsh line in the middle. You don't want that as your gradient. You want something more flush, and if you can, try, and me, I tend to steer closer to like muted tones. So even like this, I actually like this color, and I think it would probably show it pretty well for that background. I'm going to go with more of a brownish, and see how it's fluid from the dark to light color. That's more of what we're looking for. And then we're going to go ahead and lower the opacity on that as well. I'm sorry, first we're going to go to our layer adjustment, and we're going to go to screen. And then we're going to lower the opacity down. And what this is doing, for me, it's muting, the colors. You can use your blending properties and go with something like multiply, which will darken it, or color burn, which will darken it even more. But see how this is starting to make the model blend with the background? This is what we're looking for. Now, we can also go with a gradient map. Which, again, we're looking for fluid gradients. We're not going for the ones with harsh lines. We don't want anything that is going to have those harsh breaks in between the coloring. And the reason for that is because it's going to make the image look awkward, where you want it to more look fluid. So again, we'll go with something like this. And we'll start to lower the opacity down. But as you can see, what it's doing is it's matching the colors of the background with the colors of the model, and you're overlaying it over the top, so both layers. So you're giving both of those layers that same adjustment, which is going to make it blend a lot better than cutting the model out and placing her on top, when that's where she's not going to look like she's organic to that background. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we want, is for this model to look organic to the background. So I hope this is helpful. I hope I didn't stutter through it too much. I've been in that kind of weird thing today where I'm stuttering over everything. And if you have any more questions, then please go ahead and visit me on my Paintspace and PM me. I'll be more than happy to answer any question that you have. If you see me in a room, go ahead and PM me, and I'll be more than happy to answer any question you have there too. So, yeah, anyway, guys, I will talk to you next time.